We do. JJ, you're up first.
Hey, Barry, how's it going today?
Hey, it's going good.
These last two opponents you faced have obviously been a little bit more, I guess, difficult in terms of physical challenges. What are some of the things you've learned about your guys?
Well, I've learned that, and we've talked repeatedly about this. I've learned that they do what we ask them to do. When we challenge them in an area of emphasis, they always respond with giving it to us. That doesn't mean we're perfect, but they just continue to play hard and play their guts out. And if we can continue to clean up, the mistakes that are self-inflicted. You guys have heard us. I mean, it's nothing profound, but offensive football or football in general, it's hard enough, as it is going against a good opponent. But when you're having to fight yourself too from mistakes that you cause, it just complicates the matter. And so our challenge this week to them is to, we want to match the discipline that Army plays with. They play with a great deal of discipline, and we need to match that. But our guys just keep giving great effort and keep striding and making strides in the right direction.
What can you say about the play of Lowell to be able to come off the bench like that 2 weeks in a row? What does that say about him?
Well, it says a lot. It says a lot about who he is. He's a unique individual. Now we've got a lot of guys in our quarterback room that've got great character and depth, and they're all unique and all individually different. But Lowell, Lowell's been through some stuff in his life. Some stuff that he's been through some hardships, as a lot of guys in college football and in life have. But in particular, he's been through a transfer and he loss of a parent, and some ups and downs as a quarterback. He's seasoned, and I think you see that in him and his character development. He's resilient and he's consistent, and I wasn't surprised at all that he's come in and done such a good job, because he is, he's very steady each day. He's the same each day. And, it was really impressive to watch him come off and the bench and the sideline and play the way he stepped in there. And he was aggressive. He had controlled aggression and how he pressed the ball down the field. And we need him to play the same way Saturday, and just more of the same.
I know Jeff doesn't like to kind of tell us what the plan is as far as preparation and who's going to play at quarterback. But, how has Frank looked, and what can you say about what he's been able to do this week?
Well, Frank's, I think, continually getting healthier and healthier, and has a good week of practice for sure. And both of those guys have gotten a significant amount of reps this week. And I think just every day, I think everybody in our offense continues to get more and more comfortable each week with what we're doing, how we're doing it, the expectation, the calls, the route structures, the reads. It just, and that's a sign of progression. And we need to take another step forward across all positions, and including at the quarterback position, regardless of who's playing in the game. We said before the year started, guys, that, it's going to be a strange year. And all four guys that, battled for the job, we told them that, we're probably going to use all of you at some point in fashion. And that's come to fruition. And it's the same each week, man. Be ready, prepare like you're going to play. And we expect Saturday to probably be a similar experience.
Greg, you're up.
Barry, when you guys are looking to make the decision of who you're going to play at quarterback, how much do you balance the value of game film and what they do in games versus their performance in a practice setting?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that there's significant input from both of those factors. How a guy prepares and practices, and very rarely do you see in a game what you haven't seen in practice. There's usually markers there during the week to let you have some indication on how your guys are going to play and how a young man's going to play on Saturday. And so it's a little bit of both, and obviously the game and the game settings are very different and unique from practices, and you can only tell so much from practice. And so that game has a significant amount of weight to it too, about how a guy responds in live situation. And so we use both of those as a judgment. And, one of the things that we want to do here, and we're trying to be committed to, is that, we want whoever that guy is to play without looking over his shoulder. And that, if you're going to the game as a starter, you're the guy, and we're going to let you play. And But if it's not going well for whoever's fault, whatever reason it might be, then, we've got 3 guys that now we're down, now they're down to 2 other guys that, have played and started football games before. And so we're also not going to be stubborn about it. And so we use all those contributing factors to make those decisions.
JJ asked you about the physicality of your recent opponents. What kind of a physical and mental toll overall have you seen this season take on the guys? Jeff mentioned that to us over the weekend.
Yeah, it's starting to show up a little bit. And I think we were really smart with them this week. We still practice physical, but we did some things to hopefully try to get them, refresh a little bit. Listen, this is COVID, no COVID, spring ball, no spring ball. This is the time of year during football seasons typically where, you become a little bit more mentally and physically tired. And so it's our job to manage that. And it's their job to take care of themselves. Hydration, nutrition, rest, recovery, all that stuff matters because we've got some very significant, important football games on the slate down the stretch that, if we're healthy and we're in the right frame of mind, that we feel like that we can be competitive in and to the very end of those things and have a chance to win those games. And ultimately the team that's fresher and more ready to play, those go a long way this time of year. And so we're kind of in that midseason lull a little bit. This is kind of this will be game 6 in a row. And, it's just, that's the nature of the beast. And that's why you have depth. That's why you have guys that practice. That's why you recruit guys to be able to help that when need be.
What are some of those ways that you can lighten the load physically and try to keep them fresh? How do you alter it from a week, like a month ago might have looked like?
Yeah, sure. Well, the weather helps, as it starts getting cooler, that helps. And that's not, obviously none of us can control that weather. I'm not insinuating that. But so the weather this time of year helps a little bit cooler. You trim back a period here, maybe the way you design your individual periods, you may not run them as much. There's just some little things you can do to lighten the load, both mentally and physically, that I think we've done that hasn't drastically changed our approach at all to what we're doing and the physical nature that we want to play with. And so I think Coach has done a good job of, balancing that for us.
How about the mental side of that conversation? Jeff was saying that just, they play these many close games in a row and that it kind of mentally wears on them too. How do you sort of adjust for that or try to make sure they're in a good place?
Yeah, that's part of it. That's a big part of mental and in the mental and physical toughness part is, I think that's for coaches too. When you play that many games, in a row where it's going down to the fourth quarter, and we expect all of our games to be like that, truthfully, and would expect nothing less for them to come down to the fourth quarter. And so, you just got to have great resolve, and you just got to get back up and treat it and take it one day, literally 1 day, 1 hour, one period, one play at a time. That's the challenge. And you can't look at the big picture on Tuesday and think, man, we've got a whole nother week of practice. You just got to deal with the play that's ahead. And we have to set that pace as coaches because we're human too. And that's part of our deal too, to think, man, it's Tuesday, it's going to be a long day. You got to get up and go and bring the energy. And that's why we got in coaching, to help lead young men and give them guidance. And I think we've done a good job of setting that pace this week.
Jeff talked to us this week about your guys' efforts to make football fun and make sure that they remember that part of it. How do you try to do that with your group or when you're working with the kids?
Well, I think you just got to be yourself and you got to be human. The players got to see that you're a human. And I mean that, obviously not in the literal sense. They know I'm a human and they know we are, but it's okay to, like you did right there, it's okay to crack a smile and, make a lighthearted joke with them and not always pressing them and demanding them. There's a balance there. And, and Jeff does some fun things in the meetings. He's got a good sense of humor, but he's got a really good balance of knowing when that it's not like any of us are trying to run around and do a stand-up comedy show. We're about winning and developing young men, and that's what we're about. But the relationship part of it, when you're real and authentic, you can be yourself and kids still respond to coaching them hard. And so I think we got a staff full of guys that are like that. We'll coach them hard. You come to practice and listen. Man, you hear some coaches running around and coaching them really hard, and it's never personal. It's not demeaning. We're just coaching them hard. And then, we put our arm around them and ask them about their girlfriend and ask them about the movie they've been watching or, if they pick the wrong bachelor or, and tell them about your family. I know I like to tell guys about my family, my boys, Luke and Levi. They're 12 and 10. I like to tell them Luke and Levi Lunney stories, to help them take a break mentally when they start the meeting off. And so we get a kick out of that. So there's just a bunch of different ways to do it.
Is there any specific joke or anything, whether it was you or Jeff or one of the position coaches, that really got the guys this week that you saw really brought that smile?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of I know there's nothing specific that comes to mind.
Okay, JJ.
Barry, we saw you move to the sidelines this past week. Why make that change this week?
JJ, I've done both over my career as a play caller. And there's advantages to each of those, vantage points. And I wanted to start the year off, up there because I felt like that was best for me and our team, for me to kind of get a feel of, what was going on. And just, through the first few weeks, I've just felt very disconnected from the quarterbacks and from the team, to be honest with you. And I'm the leader of the offense. And I just kind of made a decision and Jeff, was great to let me do whatever I wanted to do from the beginning. I just made a decision in my heart that I wanted to be down there with the fellas, to be honest with you. I wanted to be down there with the offense. I wanted to go to battle with them. And not that I wasn't doing it up there, but, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind a little bit. I'm just a voice signaling plays, or calling plays. And I wanted to be there with them. And not that I brought anything extraordinary to the table being on the sidelines, but I know I was more in my element and I was more comfortable, being down there and being with them and celebrating with them and encouraging them when it didn't go right. And so that's going to be something I'm going to continue to do moving forward.
How would you, we saw Mekhi Hart get the start at tackle. How would you assess his play and just the overall play of the offensive line?
We had some moments where we played really physically hard. We played really physically hard, and we were physical at times. We were so close on a few runs, a few more of those runs, just so close with the technique here, or just kind of a misstep here of having Sincere in the secondary a couple more times, and getting him to that 80 or 100 yard mark, instead of, I think he hovered around 40 or so. I can't remember, but there's a fine line. When you play good defenses, those holes close up really fast. You get edge really fast. But I thought Mekhi, he keeps getting better, and that's so cliche. I get it, but he literally keeps getting better every day, and he's going to get more and more comfortable each week. Was impressed with the way he competed, and I tell you, our guys didn't back down. We had a great challenge last week physically from BYU's defense, and let me tell you, we've got another big time challenge this week with Army's defense. Very physical. They play all the way through the whistle. They just have a unique ability to kind of get on your edge and get off blocks. And we've got to play with great strain and keep them covered up for us to be successful.
Hey, Greg.
Barry, what was Mekhi's recruitment like?
Matt Maddox and Coach Traylor and they just did a really good job with him. But it was really neat to get to know him and his family, and his recruitment was pretty straightforward. He seemed to connect with Coach Maddox pretty early on, and definitely Coach Traylor. And he's got a unique story. I believe he's from Iowa. I'm pretty sure that's right. And then ended up down here for junior college, and liked it and wanted to stay around in the area and help support his family. And we just kind of gravitated towards each other. It was just kind of one of those connections, I think, that was very mutual. We loved his ability, and we laid out a good plan for him to help, about what we were going to try to do with him as far as helping him get ready to play at this level. And we knew it was going to be a quick transition for him to play physically. And he just did a really good job of taking care of his business and getting out of school on time in the midst of all this junk that was going on in the spring. Academically, as far as the COVID, the way it impacted all schools, turning to online. He took care of his business, and he's been, he is exactly who we thought he was. He loves football, he loves to compete, and he keeps getting better every day, and we're glad to have him, I promise you.
He said he's really only been playing offensive line for a couple of years. He had started as a defensive lineman. Do you see signs of that, or areas where maybe he's still improving?
Yeah, he's definitely improving, but you don't see that. You see a guy that's taken to it pretty naturally. But, Now, what you said there is a great precursor to why. You know, he played D-line for a reason. Why? Because he's agile and he's got, you know, he's got flexibility, he's got power, and those qualities translate pretty well for an offensive lineman too. And so those things show up for him. He's really a natural player. And there's just certain guys like that. You know, you just got guys that you recruit and coach that just get it, and he gets it. And then there's other guys that they eventually get it, but sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to get it. But his transition's been really quick because he's a really natural football player. He learns very well. He's very attentive in meetings, very serious, very driven, impressive player.
And then last thing for me, Jeff told us yesterday that you guys had one positive COVID case come back within your team this week. I'm wondering, he said you guys are still working through contact tracing. Do you expect that that's going to impact your group at all, or do you feel like at this point you're good to go full speed ahead for Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have a significant impact right now. You know, obviously anything further than that, I'm going to let Jeff handle that. But, you know, right now, no, I don't. I think we're on our guys have done a good job. Our guys have done a really good job of protecting themselves. And we got to continue to do that. And, but we're going to be ready to roll Saturday.
Thanks, Barry. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
Barry.
Okay, everybody. See ya. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll get,
I do better on turning my phone to the side for everybody.
yes, sir.
Y'all didn't even notice. See, I look a little bit more bald this way. All right, I'm out. See you guys.
All right.
Hey guys.
Hey, Coach Nix.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get my logo to change
There it goes.
since I'm going
There it goes.
south. Hello.
It's working now.
Yeah, I'm saying this. Is it sideways?
It's good. Yes, sir. That's perfect.
Oh, it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's do it then.
All right.
I don't even see the guys who I'm talking to. Share content. All right, come on. I'm ready to roll.
All right. JJ, you're up first.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good, JJ.
Let me ask you, you guys have played two, pretty tough opponents, back-to-back games. What have you learned about your squad in these last two games?
Oh, we're very close to our head coach, and our culture is taking over. It's kind of like the expectations and the standard the kids are responding to, and it's going to be another challenge this week. It starts with integrity and it's passion, and physical and mental toughness. Those are the things that continue to show up, and being very selfless throughout the process. So we feel like the kids are learning the culture that we're trying to instill in them, and it's showing up on the field.
This matchup with Army, these guys like to be real methodical and drain the clock. How important is it going to be for you guys to get off the field when those opportunities present themselves?
You know, it's probably very similar to any other game. It's just that these guys make it a point of emphasis to stay out there, and they'll go for on more fourth downs than most teams. Our kids know that in order for us to have success, we got to play good on the early downs, and that'll allow us to dictate some of the things that they may do on third and long, or third and medium. If we keep the game in a third and short situation, we're going to have a long day ahead of us.
And then can you just speak to the discipline it takes to play against this style of offense? It's just so different than anything else really you're going to see the rest of the year.
You know, it starts with our eyes. Eyes are the key, then the finish, you know, and we stress that throughout camp and since I've been here. But I use this phrase that I've had a lot of success with over the years when we played option teams. And the phrase is rake your own leads. And what that means is if you're responsible for the dive, take the dive. If you're responsible for the quarterback, take the quarterback. And if you're responsible for the pitch, take the pitch. Not I thought, not I wish, not what it looked like. Do your job. And if you'll rake your leads, if every player will rake their leads, we'll have a pretty yard by the end of the game. But it's going to take 11 guys committed on each individual play, putting their eyes in the right place, doing their individual job on that particular call.
Hey, Greg.
Coach, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Greg?
Good. Has your scout team been able to give you a good look with the triple option? What have you seen from that group this week, and how important is that to getting ready?
You know, it's probably the most important part. If it's been any week as far as preparation, this week has been it by far. And, you know, they've tried. They gave us the best look that they possibly could. They took it personal, which they do every week. But, you know, there's no way for us to get the real feel of this thing until we actually get out there on the field, because they say this offense can't be duplicated. You know, there's a lot of people that try to emulate it, but, you know, you don't have that success on the practice field. It takes a lot of hours and years and months of grinding it out to be a perfectionist at this. And our kids know that they're going to have to adjust quickly. You know, some people say after the first series, some people say after the first quarter. Each team is different. I hope we adjust to the speed of the game and what they're doing very quickly, and help us get a chance to get on and out the field quicker to get the ball back to our offense.
Do you like how your secondary players fit into defending that type of look, or do you need to be able to get more linebackers and defensive linemen on the field for this kind of a matchup?
You know, we're going to go with our best 11, and certain situations we'll put more linebackers or defensive linemen on the field, and that's more of maybe a short yardage, or we're going to match the personnel that they're putting out there as well. But all in all, each guy has to do their job, and, you know, last week it was more covering and protecting the deep ball. This week it's going to be more about putting my eyes in the right place, not getting food on play action, but supporting the run. So it's different challenges each week, but it all starts with their eyes, and it all starts with being disciplined and guys raking their own leads.
A lot of these guys played against this system last year. Is that experience helpful through the week? How have you seen some familiarity maybe with what they're going to be up against?
You know, I don't know what happened last year. I do, from listening to the guys, it was a close game, it was a tough game to the fourth quarter. I think the biggest thing you can take from last year's experience is that they've seen the tempo, they've seen some of the things that how it will take place in the actual game, but schematically we're going to defend it a little bit different than what they did, and hopefully we get a little bit better results. But all in all, I think it gives him some kind of concept of what to expect. And, hopefully that'll carry over in the game Saturday.
What is it like, from a competitive advantage standpoint of having to devote a week to this system that really doesn't carry over much to the rest of the year and what you're going to see? Is that like an unfortunate circumstance as a defensive coordinator, or how do you view that dynamic?
It's just a part of the game. Sometimes you have to face things that's unique. Probably where it's disadvantage to us. Normally, when you have an offense that's this unique, you work on them in the summer, you work on them in the spring, so that when they come up on the schedule, it's just not the 3 days of preparation that you put in and see if your kids can respond. Of course, we can't do anything about those situations in the hand that we're presented. So we're just happy to be playing. We're happy that our kids have continued to take care of themselves to allow us to stay COVID-free and give us this chance to play the game.
In general, what kind of a mental and physical toll has the season taken on your guys so far? Jeff told us over the weekend that that's becoming kind of a concern.
Well, anytime you're dealing with 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-old kids, you don't understand some of the options or the obstacles that they're overcoming. Of course, we all, including myself, have different forms of adversity to overcome. The biggest challenge, what we tell our guys is, let's not put a period where a comma should be. And what that means is when we face an obstacle, when we face something, let's not close the door. Let's take it head on. Let's learn from it. Let's be better the next time and figure out how to continue to grow. And those are the things that our kids are dealing with, whether it's family members, whether it's coaches, friends, dealing when they have the COVID situation, and just keeping their prayers, just staying strong and continue to believe that good things and good days are ahead of us.
Hey, JJ.
Ty, Coach Traylor was telling us he kind of likes to lighten the mood from time to time. Do you ever get in on some of that?
When he say lighten the mood, what does he mean? What is he talking about? And I can tell you if I fit in on that.
He says he likes to tell some jokes and kind of, just kind of take some of the mental edge off the guys from time to time. Do you kind of think that's important?
Hey, JJ, your whole deal was kind of like, and I don't know if everybody else on that knew that it went out of phase, but let me tell you this. We say a lot of jokes, and we lighten a lot of moods in this room. Some of these jokes we say kind of stay private because they be maybe X-rated. And the best jokes on our staff on the defensive side of the ball, if it's not myself, is just left. He has the driest, corniest joking guy that I know of. But all in all, we have fun. We got a guy on our staff on defense we call Bo Duke, and he's just a slayer. But we won't talk about what all that stuff means. But yeah, we're lighten the load. We get in on it. We get on the offense, the head coach, a little bit everyone. So yeah, this game's a serious game, and you got to have some fun. You got to have some fun, and the biggest time you have fun is when your kids play up to the expectations and the culture, you win. But day in and day out, football's a tough game. It's a tough sport, but at the middle of it, at some point, you got to have some fun and find some other enjoyment. So yes, we will lighten the mood.
Hey, Greg.
From the physical perspective, is there anything you can do to sort of, make sure that toll doesn't add up through the year, ways to kind of cut back in practice or to make sure they're getting the right recovery? How do you approach that?
The injury report will tell you a lot. Just like this ball game, they're going to do a lot of cutting, and it's going to be a physical game, and it'll take a toll. And, we'll see the guys on Sunday we'll get an injury report. And Coach Traylor's smart about taking care of the kids. A lot of guys say he's a player's coach. Well, the part of the player's coach is he understands that their body only can take so much. So, yes, we'll cut back certain periods throughout the week or lighten some of the contact on certain things. But, ultimately we still have to work fundamentals and continue to do the things it takes to win a game. But the more you can minimize some of the physical contact throughout the week, you got to reduce some of it as the season goes along.
Is that an especially tough balance this week? Because the kids probably need the live reps against that triple option look since they haven't seen it otherwise.
Now, we hadn't been live since August. We don't go live. Our only live reps come when we play the game. So even in a situation where we're facing this offense, we won't go live. We won't cut our own guys. There's a lot of things that will happen Saturday that we won't do until Saturday gets here. That's why we say it's very important that we adjust quickly, because we're not going to do those things. We'll never lose a kid on the practice field. If something's ever going to happen, we're going to make sure it's live bullets and we get a chance to go out there and compete and make it all count.
And you mentioned the injury standpoint and the amount of those that have racked up so far this year. Have you felt the impact of that within your group, or how difficult has that been so far?
Our trainer, Nick, does a good job. Tariq Woolen, we wish he didn't have a cast on. And he did make one interception, but I think he could have got his hands on the ball or two last week that, maybe injury hindered him a little bit. Tyler Monkey is another guy. I think we have 3 or 4 guys on defense with their hand casted up where, it's tough enough to play with 2 hands, more or less one. Country, a couple of defensive backs that's been out for a couple of weeks. It's just something we can't control. That's why recruiting is so critical, that you develop depth, that you recruit other caliber guys that you feel strongly about that can come in and contribute. And, our young guys have stepped up. And I say young, we're talking about a Jamal Liggett, I'm talking about a Antonio Parks, Christian Clayton, still a freshman. So some of these guys are stepping up, and accepting the role and the challenge of being a player. I'll tell you another one, Xavier Spencer. He's a guy that probably play a lot more just because of his work ethic and putting himself in position to help our defense.
And then lastly for me, Jeff told us yesterday that you guys had a positive COVID test come back within the group this week and that there would be some contact tracing going on. I'm just wondering if it's had any impact on the defense at all, or if you feel like you guys are 100% ready to go for Saturday.
Well, we're not 100%, and those things don't pertain to COVID on our side of the ball. So we don't think a few guys will still participate. But, that's out of our control. We try to spend a lot of time on controlling the controllables and, the serenity prayer of understanding what we can and cannot do and having the courage to change the things that we can. And, it's football, it's life, it's every day. So we don't look at anything in a negative standpoint. We just go out and battle, and the guy who goes out has an expectation and a standard to give us his best, and his best to be good enough.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach Nix, for your time.
JJ.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, JJ, ask Coach Traylor when you talk to him, say, tell me about the 2 S's on Thursday. I think you'll get a chuckle. He'll get a chuckle out of that.